Is your news today.
Good morning and welcome to Your News Today. Coming up this Monday, government leaders to crack down on gun laws and hate speech 1 week on from the Bondi terror attack. Plus, Trump under pressure following the heavy redactions in the Epstein files. And Australia claims the Ashes yet again on an historic day at Adelaide Oval.
We begin with moving scenes at Bondi Beach last night as thousands gathered for the memorial exactly 1 week on from the terror attack.
It's beautiful because you, in your thousands, in your defiance, in your resistance and resolve, you have returned to these sands just 7 days after a shocking crime and have said to the terrorists, "We are going nowhere."
The darkness does not get the final word.
Okay, and we cross live to Sydney reporter Erin Ramsey. Erin, the night wasn't without tension. The PM was booed.
That's right, Michael. A lot of emotions felt down here at Bondi Beach last night. There was an incredibly heavy police presence and security detail as thousands gathered to pay their respects. Anthony Albanese was heckled as he arrived. One man had to be held back by police. The Jewish and Australian community feeling outraged that the government should have done more in the lead up to this terror attack last Sunday. Take a listen to that moment. There were some incredibly special moments in that tribute last night. At exactly 6:47, a minute's silence was held as thousands gathered here. As I mentioned earlier, there was also the lighting of the menorah, which was led by Olympian Jess Fox and Bondi lifeguard Harries. And we heard from members of the community, victims, families and survivors of last Sunday's attack. Now, as for this morning, we're here where hundreds of thousands of tributes have been laid over the last 7 days. They are now slowly being picked up by around 30 volunteers. I've been told that there are plans for a mural at the Sydney Jewish Museum, which will incorporate some of the flowers and wrapping and some of the toys that have been left behind, which will also go toward that museum. And Waverley Council will be considering a more permanent tribute here as well. Michael?
Thanks so much, Erin. And Anthony Albanese will return to Canberra today as he prepares to hold a cabinet meeting expected to thrash out the details of major reforms to gun laws and hate speech. Both the PM and the Premier's bills on guns, rallies and hate speech face pushback as the New South Wales Parliament is recalled today.
To Melbourne now, where police are preparing to have a heavy presence at the MCG ahead of the Boxing Day test. Let's go live to Today Melbourne reporter Stephanie Wacklerwick. Stephanie, they will be armed with semi-automatic rifles.
That's right, Sam, and Police Chief Commissioner Mike Bush admits it will be unusual for cricket fans to see specialist police armed with these weapons, but he assures it's not in response to any new threat. He says it's about providing an extra safeguard and providing reassurance to the community. Members of the Critical Incident Response Team will be armed with the weapons, which are part of the unit's regular tactical equipment. And they'll be patrolling the MCG concourse here, as well as Jolimont Station, Yarra Park and Birrarung Ma. Police will also be out conducting licensing checks. They'll also be keeping an eye on any antisocial behaviour. Sam.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. The roof of a home in Brisbane's southern suburbs has collapsed after a ferocious blaze. It took crews 45 minutes to contain the blaze, with 3 people taken to hospital, one suffering minor burns. Witnesses believe the fire was sparked by an electric vehicle.
Queensland debt collectors have gathered almost $500 million in unpaid traffic fines from motorists. Live to Today Queensland reporter Carla Toomer on the Gold Coast. Carla, that is a lot of money.
It's a staggering figure, isn't it, Michael? Debt collectors have hauled in a record $477 million from Queenslanders who failed to pay their fines, as Spur works to try and clear a record $1.2 billion debt backlog. Now, that number is only set to continue to rise. Since July this year, unpaid fines have already reached $253 million, putting Queensland on track to beat its debt collection record again in 2026. Now, to recover this money, Spur has seized 472 vehicles, from utes through to luxury SUVs, even a McLaren supercar. And 117 of those cars have now been sold at auction after their owners refused to pay their fines. So, Michael, the message is really clear. If you don't pay your fines, you could lose your car.
Very important to pay those fines. Yes, please. Homes and lives are under threat as a bushfire continues to burn in Perth Hills. The blaze began yesterday afternoon as firefighters battled to control the fire, which has now been downgraded to a watch and act for areas including Janebrook, Red Hills and Herne. Residents are being urged to stay up to date with the Emergency WA website.
The US Department of Justice has denied claims of a cover-up after 15 documents from the Epstein files disappeared from the online collection. Let's go live to US correspondent Reid Butler in Los Angeles. Reid, morning. Why did they delete the documents?
Well, Sam, so those cover-up allegations, they relate to the removal of a photo where you can see pictures of Donald Trump in a drawer. But the Department of Justice has been out this morning saying that the photo was taken down because not all the women in that photograph had been redacted. So essentially nothing to see here. But as for the issue as a whole, it is a scandal that is not going anywhere.
Any kind of indication that there's not a full reveal on this will just plague them for months and months more.
Now, the US President Donald Trump is spending the day golfing. Rather uncharacteristically, Sam, he hasn't spoken publicly about this latest file release.
Of course he's at the golf course. Thanks, Reid.
A Western Sydney family are lucky to be alive after a car smashed into their home over the weekend. Milo and wife Sally telling 9 News they were sitting in the living room just minutes before the crash in North Parramatta. A little girl was inside the car at the time, while police say the woman behind the wheel suffered a medical episode. The US has seized a second oil tanker and is reportedly pursuing a third in waters off Venezuela, according to the US Department of Homeland Security and the Reuters news agency. The Trump administration has defended the sanction of oil-carrying ships, claiming they are funding narco-terrorism. Venezuela says it's an act of international piracy. A manhunt is underway on the Gold Coast after a woman was attacked in broad daylight whilst walking at the Burleigh Heads National Park. The 38-year-old woman suffered minor injuries when she was approached by the man. This is the second alleged assault at the trail in just over a month. Queensland Police said there was no evidence to suggest that they are linked. The Ashes will stay down under, Australia sealing an unassailable 3-0 series lead with an 82-run win in the third test in Adelaide. With the series wrapped in just 11 days, the focus now turns to a perfect 5-0 clean sweep.
We'll save this for a few days, and no doubt when we get closer to Boxing Day, people start thinking, okay, it would be pretty cool if we can, go at 4-0 and hopefully then in Sydney do it 5-0.
Wouldn't it just? Well, Travis Head was at the heart of the team celebrations, handing out Ron Ball T-shirts in a cheeky dig at England while giving their own coach a well-earned cheer. Well, Pope Leo is gearing up for his first Christmas as leader of the Catholic Church. Live to Nine's Europe correspondent Josh Bavis in London. Josh, there's just 3 sleeps to go.
3 sleeps to go, Andrea, but still thousands turning out to hear Pope Leo's address in St Peter's Square even before his big Christmas message. Over the Sunday, for the 4th Sunday of the Advent, he's been speaking on living with hope. And just on hope, over in the Middle East, the head of the Catholic Church for the Holy Land has attended a mass in a church in Gaza City for the powerful but small congregation there who've endured 2 years of war, giving an encouragement to those standing strong through hard times. But across Europe, though, things have been a little different in tone, like in Venice, where the Santa Water Parade has been in full swing, with people dressed up as the big man in red out on the water, taking to the gondola parade. And in Greece, in the town of Thessaloniki, people have been out on paddleboards dressed as Santa, not only to spread the Christmas cheer, but also to entice some European tourists away from some of the colder hotspots like London and Paris, instead heading to Greece to spend Christmas. Andrea?
Thanks, Josh. And let's take a look at the weather across the country. Partly cloudy conditions on the way for Queensland today, with rain and even thunderstorms forecast for parts of New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania.
While in the west, the sun is shining for the start of the working week.